One thing I noticed about your bio is you seem to be, and it comes through throughout your book, you are really dedicated to your clients.
Yes, that's for sure.
And I feel like your work is so grounded in of being of service to your clients.
Yeah.
Like you really recognize that there's no ego, there's no this is like my vision for you. You bring your taste and your amazing aesthetic, and you try to make their dreams come true. Now, having gone through a home renovation myself
Ah, nice.
with my husband,
Okay. Oh, maybe. Okay.
listen,
I'm saying nicely. What?
well, listen, it's we're still married.
Okay. Perfect. Excellent. And clearly doing great. You're
Yes,
having a baby.
yes.
Lovely.
But it is tough. It
Sure.
is tough. And I would
Absolutely.
imagine in a lot of your conversations with clients, it almost
Hmm.
becomes like therapy in a way,
Hmm.
right?
Sure. Sure does sometimes. Yeah.
Because you're talking about how you're going to live in this space and what compromises you want to make
Hmm.
and what's important to you and expectation versus reality and
Absolutely.
what does your life really look like. Do you feel like in some ways your job is very interpersonal too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think something that I really pride myself on is that every job I go to, I really work to view it as this is so fresh, this is so new. These people have not existed before, just
Mm,
in this space that I don't look at someone and say, oh, yeah, I know it's going to happen here. It's nothing like that.
right.
It's a case of I'm really taking it all in and I'm really wanting to know what's important to them and what they care about and what is soulful to them, what has
Mm,
meaning, what they don't like. I'm really working to take all of that in because it helps to fuel the story,
yeah.
and it brings purpose into what I'm designing, not just pretty things, because that's really the least of what I'm doing.
Right.
It's a hugely important part, obviously, and the end result, but we get there by knowing and understanding what they care about and making that the most beautiful that
Sure.
that I can.
Yes.
And when they say goodbye to me, I want them to turn around and say, "This is my home, and
Mm,
this is my space." Not this is by Brigette Romanek, and this is great that I like it. It's great. It's cool. Not sure if I don't want anyone to ever feel that way. I want them to feel like this is my spot. I'm excited to be here. I'm dying to come home, and I think about it in a way too, where even if you go on the most incredible vacation in the world,
yes.
but when you get home, you're like, oh, I'm
Yes.
home,
Yes. Yes.
and
That's so true.
loving that, and I want to create that in every room, in every spot, whatever the the final result is. It is that feeling that one has.
Yes.
Retail, commercial, I don't residential, hospitality, all of that. I want to learn to speak. I call it all the time the science of my client. Know their DNA.
Yes.
What's important for them.
What sorts of questions do you ask in the first meeting?
Ooh, that's a good question. A lot of the first meeting is me taking in everything. It's about, movement, it's about colors that I see, it's about things that they say,
So you meet
it's
them in their you
everything.
meet them in their
I
space.
do. I
Okay.
do. I go to their environments, and a lot of times we do a walkthrough. And if it's going to be of an existing space and that all they need is furniture, we walk through and we have conversations in each room about what they want it to feel like, what they want it to look like, what's the functionality of the space, what's the moodiness, what's the all of it, the vibe, all of it has to come together. And so it's a constant conversation, and it changes as well because I might show something where the client has said, yes, this is, what I'm feeling, what I feel it should be. And then that gets put in front of them. And then something else they can have a reaction like, oh, maybe I want to add this, or maybe I should change that. And
Mm.
that fuels me and teaches me as well, so it's just constant learning. It's a constant exchange.
Mm-hmm.
I ask all the time, what do you want this room to do for you? How do you
Ooh.
want this room to support you? Those are the most important things because colors and all that kind of great stuff and that moodiness we can play with, but it's
Yes.
really about how do you want this space to support you and how you live.
I
So
love
that's
that.
and it's a funny thing too because it's always a thing where people kind of go, wait, what? But that is the purpose of your home.
Yes. Okay, let's take maybe a bedroom, for example. If
Mm-hmm.
people listening are like, okay, I'm looking at my bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
what question should they ask themselves? The first one is, how do I want this space to support me?
Absolutely.
And that should inform, I guess, everything in the room.
It does, but it also it opens up a bigger conversation, you know.
Mm.
So if it's a case of well, this is the space where, and it's so cool because it's different. You know, some people, this is a space I only want to sleep in, and
Yes.
then someone else will say this is a space where I want to come in here and I still want to be able to do some of my work, but have it be a private space. You know, really
Mm.
just depends on the person or the couple
Hmm.
and what they're looking for. I mean, some of the things I've heard I will not be repeating, but you know, but it's really fun to be able to interpret that. And I also feel that it's a big honor, you know,
Yes.
because there are lots of designers out there. So they've entrusted me to help them, you know, with most likely their largest investment and something that they care so much about.
Yeah.
I'm super honored. So I really try to take in all that I can. But the first question is always, how do you want this space to support you?
Mm.
And if it's a case where someone says, I really just want to sleep here, it's like, okay, well, what does sleep mean to you? You know, it's a place where I just want to feel safe. I just want it to be cozy. So I start to get these words that I pull out. And
Yes.
then I'm able to look at those words later on as I'm designing the space. So if someone says, I want vibrancy, my work is such that I'm sitting at this office all day. When I come in here, I need to feel invigorated. And that's a different conversation. You know,
Yes.
that's a different room. And it is different. It really is different for people. You know, some people will tell me I like for it to feel cavernous. So in my mind immediately that means to me they want a cocoon, you know, they want,
Mm.
so then that means like layers, you know, or
Mm.
someone who will say to me, you know, if it is a case of I like to work and I like to close the door from my you know my life outside and I really need to be able to think when I get in here. So then that informs, okay, well maybe the color is more of a parchment, not a stark white, but more of a parchment color, and maybe
Yes.
the walls feel a bit softer, not, you know, so it really, it depends on all of those things.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, that's always that's fun to put that together.